Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jayaradama Dava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Giribaradari Yasudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Haribol 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 Bol Haribol Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotra Satat Sisima, the Divine Grace, His Confounded Acharya, Srila Abhacharanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotra Satat Sisima, the Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Si Kahau Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Si Advaita Gadadhar Si Vatsadi Si Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sisi Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Savindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai, Sri Balaram Jayanti Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sisi Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. No, this guy. This guy. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. No, you sing. Narayanam Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswati vyatsa tato jaya mudirayat nasta paye swabhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavaiti naistiki. So, today's Balaram's appearance, instead of doing the normal traditional Bhagavatam class, of course, the whole of Balaram's pastimes are embedded in the Bhagavatam. So if we had some 10 canto, perhaps we could have just used it. But I don't think that we have that book available here right now. So we'll be sharing some things about Balaram. Om Gyana Timbrandasya Gyana Janan Salakaya Saksuru Militam Jena Tasmai Si Guruve Namaha Si Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutali Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Sa Padantikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadara Sivasadi Si Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpataribhya cha, kripasunabhya eva cha, patitanam pavanabhyo, vaishnavabhyo, namo namo. So welcome to this morning gathering, morning get-together. Every day for us is celebration. It begins with Mangarati. And so here we are continuing the celebration of the day with some discussions on the very appearance, the pastimes of Lord Balaram. The appearance of Lord Balaram is delineated in the 10th canto. And Prabhupada specifically mentioned how at the time King Kamsa was like terrorizing the whole of the province, Mathura province. And of course, it's mentioned how when Devaki was married, Devaki was supposedly a sister to Kamsa. When she was married to Vasudeva with pomp and pleasure, and you know, when you have family member who is married, it's a big pride. Especially for, well-to-do people at that time like Kamsa. So he decided that he will be part of this pride. He will drive the reins of the chariot of Vasudeva and Devaki. I mean, this is just the background of the appearance. You like to listen or you like to turn? You have to do one thing, otherwise the attention will be divided. So, every big festival, we want to become part of it. Nobody wants to be part of, an isolated event. So this was a big festival. And as Kamsa was helping with driving, steering the reins of the chariot, there was a pronouncement from above that the eighth child of this Devaki will be the cause of your death. Imagine when you're trying to help somebody, you're trying to help your sister, or help anybody, and you have a prediction that, hey, this person's child is going to be the source of your death, how would you feel? For any mortal, any conditioned soul, I will feel very uncomfortable. So, sometimes we just point accusing fingers. Oh, cancer, cancer, cancer. He's a demon. But look at the circumstances that he was facing at this very scenario. And he was agitated. Naturally, you will be agitated. I will be agitated. Naturally, he was agitated and even wanted to kill Devaki. But Vasudeva had high-profile skills, social skills, or what we call persuasion. Persuasion. If you want to be a leader, you must have this skill. Persuasion. You can't force everybody or anyone to do things for you, because a leader goes the way and shows the way. Managers control, but the leader sets the role, becomes a role model for others to follow. Like Krishna mentions in the Gita, that it sets a standard for the whole world to pursue. So Vasudeva had to persuade Kamsa not to kill the sister with high profile philosophy. Persuasion, if you're not philosophically inclined, if you're not logical, you can't persuade somebody. You will only try to force them, and it will bring about fight. That's all. At best, you'll tell them, oh, you're offensive. You're disobeying me. I'm the Swami. I'm the president. You're disobeying me. But, you see, we are volunteers. And Kamsa was a volunteer at the time. No one was paying him. I mean, it's like the devotees in his court. Okay? He volunteered to do something, and here you are hearing there will be heavy repercussions of what you are getting, what your engagement. You will pay a big price for it. How would you feel? You will continue? Babu? You say, well, I depend on Krishna. Kamsa did not believe in Krishna, believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just thought he was the Supreme. But he had faith in predictions. He had faith in another morning. So when Vasudeva was laden with this task of trying to dissuade Kamsa from executing his ill intent, it was very challenging. It took him some time, and eventually he was able to convince Kamsa to abstain from killing the sister. But Vasudeva promised that, you don't worry, every child that is born, I'll just bring it to you. And you do whatever you like. But then Kamsa also tried to show some sense of maturity. He said, oh, you don't worry, I mean, it's not that heavy, it's not that serious. I mean, it's the 8th child that the prediction was. But Vasudeva did the needful. When the 4th child was born, he brought it to Kamsa. But then Kamsa said there was no need, because the 8th child is the one to be born. Then there was a catalyst was introduced into the scenario. And that catalyst was Nardamuni. A catalyst is an element that speeds up a chemical reaction, but it does not get affected by the reactions. That's a catalyst. Nardamuni acted as a catalyst. he wanted to speed up the whole process of Krishna's advent. He told Kamsa, he convinced Kamsa that, look, you can't take things for granted. The demigods are already taking birth in the family of the Vishnus. What are you thinking? What are you talking about? What are you thinking? You're thinking with your sense? Kamsa thought, like you get a good revelation. You get a good revelation from a good predictionist. You thank them. So now, Kamsa was very grateful to another morning, and so he embarked on, massive killing of children. He put Devaki and the husband into jail, and to fast forward, Balaram was supposed to be the seventh child, preparing the way for Krishna's arrival. But then, when Devaki was pregnant of Balaram, Yoga Maya was deputed to arrange for the transfer of Balaram to the womb of Rohini. Rohini is one of the wives of Vasudeva. And he has to put her under the custody of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan. Again, because of Kamsa. Kamsa was a terrorist. People are talking about terrorism as if it is a new thing on the planet. Terrorism has been there. In fact, right from the period of Hiranyakasipu, terrorism has been there. The best of terrorists, they don't engage in, suicide bombing. They're very powerful. They come and then massacre the people. They don't kill themselves. They're not cowards. So Kamsa, he engaged in what literally we call ethnic cleansing of young children. He sent his demon colleagues and friends to go and kill all of the newborn babies within the period. So anyway, when Rohini gave birth to Balaram, astrologers have predicted that he will have a younger brother who will be a liberationist for the whole world, and especially for Vrindavan. It's also mentioned that Balaram will kill demons such as Dhenukasura and Pralambasura. These are all mentioned in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the chapter dealing on the advent of Lord Krishna. So, child was born, was growing up, and afterwards Krishna was born also to Mona Yasoda. Of course, we understand how Krishna was transferred from Mathura, but at the same time, Mona Yasoda also had a baby. So, concentrating on Balaram, when the two kids were growing up as toddlers, they were always crawling around in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So these great sages, they said, what is the use of talking about the worship of Lord Krishna? Let's worship Nanda Maharaj, in whose courtyard the Supreme Personality of Godhead is crawling around like an ordinary child. This should be our object of worship, Nanda Maharaj. So sometimes you find the Brajabasis, they are passing by, and even during the monsoon season, the ground is wet, and before some of these ladies know, they hear some tinkling birds behind them, and when they turn on, Krishna and Balaram crawling after them. So Balaram basically is from the second quadruple expansion of Seshana. And we have in the Krishna lineage of expansions, Balaram is the first one. But then we have a quadruple expansion and then a second quadruple expansion. I hope I'm not going too technical. But these things are there in the Bhagavatam, and so those who want to preach, they have to also understand the complexities of the avatars or the incarnations of Lord Krishna or Krishna's expansions. It's very complex. But the focus here today is on Balaram. So we mentioned about how Balaram had appeared in Vrindavan through Rohini to the transfer of the seventh pregnancy of Devaki. And people thought that Devaki had a miscarriage. But no, it was the arrangement of Yoga Maya under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that incident transpired. Now, as Balaram was growing up during his Puganda age, at that time also Krishna was in his Puganda age, they were entrusted with cow herding. And those wonderful pastimes resulted to a number of demons also being killed. Because at some point, the cowherd boys who were always with Krishna and Balaram, they had mentioned to Krishna and Balaram that at the Tala forest there are amazing, juicy fruits, but the whole forest is guided by some terrible demon. But then they said, who want to taste those fruits? Who want to taste those fruits? And Krishna and Balaram led them there. And Balaram went to start shaking the whole of the fruits and then the trees, and then the fruits were falling. So this attracted the demon. And what's the name of that demon? Dhenukasura. Attracted Dhenukasura, and he came. And without wasting time, he hit Balaram. So this Dhenukasura, his power was on his hind legs. A number of these four-legged herbivorous animals, their power is on their hind legs. They kick very, very hardly. I mean, very, very tough, and they kick you off balance. So Dhenuka tried to kick Balaram. Balaram caught hold of his hind leg and wheel him around and throw him on top of the highest palm tree around. And that event created some turmoil on the nearby trees, and then some of those nearby trees started falling. Eventually, the demon lost his life. And according to Bhakti Vasudeva Swami, in his Chaitanya Shikshamrita, the killing of Dhenukasura has to do with some anatas. Who knows? You should know. Yes, who can help us? Tell us. The anatas associated with the killing of Dhenukasura. If the men don't know, I will ask the ladies, and it will be a disgrace. Because you always claim that, you are the leader. Yes? What is the anata associated with the killing of Dhenukasura? According to Chaitanya Shikshamrita by Bhakti Vasudeva Swami. Huh? Ignorance of what? Mataji, did you hear him? Ignorance of original identity. Yes. Anyone to give a support to that? Yes. Very good. See, all of the demons killed by... He wants to hear what you said. Can you give out the microphone? Learning is a lifelong process. We should not think that we know everything.
Pride due to materialistic education and intelligence.
Yeah. The people who are highly learned, they tend to think that I know better than everyone else. I remember this story of one devotee who was doing Sankirtan in Boston, in America, and they went to Harvard University to distribute back to Godhead. And he didn't go to college. So he went to meet one young man who alighted from his car at the park. And the young man he was giving him back to God, and the young man looked at him and he said, "Don't you know I'm Harvard professor?" So this is Denugasura. This is a typical example of in the mindset of Denugasura. They feel they know too much. So Denugasura was killed. But an important factor is that hearing this pastime helps us to become cleansed or to become reflective of how to become free from the contamination of thinking that we know. Or it helps us to reflect on the point and also helps to cleanse our contamination of the ignorance of our relationship with Krishna. If everyone on this planet understands their relationship with Krishna, at least there will not be so much troubles. Because then they will understand how the whole world is just a family. Mama evam sujiva loki jiva bhuta sanatana. If everyone in this world, the leaders of this world, if they understand that we are all part and parcel of Krishna, we belong to one family, whether you are green, white, black, it's just one family. It's just different jackets people are wearing. But the leaders of the world are devoid of this knowledge. So they are symptomatic of the mentality of Dhenukasura. So Dhenukasura mindset has pervaded the whole global situation. I want the demon that Balaram killed was Pralamba, and it was also predicted by the astrologers at the time of his death. It is sometimes we tend to discard the idea that astrological predictions are correct. But in those days, like we have Gargamuni, Gargacharya, he was the priest of the Yadu dynasty, and whatever he said was very perfect. How many of you have read the Gaga Samhita? Have read the Gaga Samhita? Raise up your hand. Dhanavir Goswami, he has translated the whole of the Gaga Samhita, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. Information there. So, he was not doing it for money. He was not doing it to feed his belly. He was doing it as service to humanity. When the contamination of having to develop economically from a particular project comes, the spiritual value becomes diminished. And the reality of the matter becomes also somehow doubtful. because it's money oriented. So, but then these astrologers who had these very great powers of predictions, they were doing that as service to the community, service to humanity. And so one of the other demons that Balaram killed was Pralamba. And who knows the anantas associated with Pralamba? Yes? I asked the men first.
Lust?
Yes. So if someone, according to Prabhupada, if someone listens to the recitations or reads about these pastimes, the contamination of lust becomes diminished. So the Vedic literature is not just embedded with so many philosophical ideals, but it also gives us practical avenues to be able to become extricated from the clutches of material contaminations. So see, the Bhagavatam, if you read these pastimes, it's capable of cleansing. I mean, it's just like coming to the Bhagavatam class or giving Bhagavatam class, participating in Bhagavatam class, it helps to relinquish us from material contamination. Nasta prayesu abadrisu. So everything we do in Krishna consciousness has a scientific undertone. It's not that, hey, you must go to class. I remember when we joined, we were allotted a particular number of hours to read in the morning before you go out on Sankirtan, before you eat. And that helps to expand your spiritual information culture, and be able to prepare you to be able to share whatever you have with the people you encounter. So Pralamba was one of those demons that Balaram killed. Another demon that Balaram killed was who? Yes? What? Duvida. I heard that. And another one was when Balaram went to Namisraya, where the sages were gathered, and Rumahasana was on the asan, giving the discourse, leading the sages. So when Balaram entered the assembly hall, that was the time that the Kurus and the Yadus war was very imminent, because there was no resolution that was really going to mitigate the conflict. So the war was imminent, and Balaram decided he will not be there. He has to go for pilgrimage. So he went to Namisraya, and in the assembly of those sages, Ramahasana was the one giving the class, was giving the discourse. So everybody stood up to welcome Balaram, to pay obeisance to Balaram. And Ramahasana did not stand up. Of course, it's also a rule that when you are sitting on the asan, you shouldn't get up until you finish. But there are exceptions to the rule. Attachment to the rules and regulations could lead to demise, and that was the case of Ramahasana. So when everybody got up to pay obeisance to Balaram, Ramahasana did not. So Balaram was a little bit, he thought, maybe you should go to Yamaloka. And with a blade of kusa grass, the chapter of Ramahasana said. So the sages said, yeah, we know you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, But Rama Hasana, we have given him so many blessings to live for a long time to be able to give us discourse. So Balaram said, all right, that blessing should go to his son. And they said, you have also killed a Brahmin. Okay? So what to do? Balaram, he took responsibility. He said, prescribe whatever you want, and I will do it. Yes, I've killed a Brahmin. Prescribe to me whatever you want. I will do it. So sometimes we find that even the Supreme Person of Godhead, even Krishna, had to undergo some purification for killing so-called, So, the point here is that the sages told him that he has to go to pilgrimage, take bath in the holy places. And there is one thing we want you to do for us. Balwa. Is that how to pronounce it? He was always wreaking havoc when they are performing their sacrifices. This demon will come and mess up the whole place with urine, pores, and all this stuff. And no one can really get hold of him because he just flies. So Balaram said, yes, I'll do it. And when Balwa came around, was flying, Balaram just used his plow and, brought him down and then killed him. And so, that was another demon that Balaram killed. Now, there is something that I very much like in the pastimes of Lord Balaram, and that is just after the lifting of Govardhan Hill, Balaram was so much enthused that he told Krishna, hey, my younger brother, can you give me your peacock feather, your crown and peacock feather, and your flute? Let me enjoy it for just one day. Krishna said, so be it. So he gave it to him. And Balaram was was moving around in the village by the Jamuna. He was so much in ecstasy. And then here comes Kamsa. Kamsa deputed one horse demon to go and kill Krishna. So the demon said, how am I going to identify him? I don't know him. He said, oh, it's very easy to identify him. He is the only cowherd boy who is having a peacock feather on his crown. And he's always with his flute. Nobody else, only him. So if you see that young man, that young boy who has a peacock feather on his crown and playing the flute, that's Krishna. Just kill him. So he came, and then it's a Balaram. It's a Balaram and kicked Balaram heavily. Balaram rolled away. He rolled far away. He kicked him away. So he went to meet his mother and told him, Rohini, and told her what had happened. Krishna also got to know about it. And so he gave the flute and the peacock feather and the crown. He gave it back to Krishna and said, please take back your trouble. So those of us who want to play God, those of us who want to play God, understand, accept the responsibility when it comes. Okay? So, that's something very intriguing for me, because everybody, or virtually everyone on this planet, we want to enjoy, we want to control. But, you see what the challenges that Krishna has to pass through. But because he is the supreme personality of Godhead, everything, he was able to have everything under control. So, we have to understand that as infinitesimal jivas. And look at Balaram is Vishnu Tattva. But see the problem that he has to pass through by taking the position of Krishna. So, interesting point is that when Balaram appeared on the planet, his main duty was to protect Krishna. So each time they are going out, Mother Yasoda will personally entrust Krishna in the hands of Balaram and the older cowhead boys for protection, because Krishna is naughty. And so it is important for us to understand that Balaram also is a servant incarnation of the Lord. It is mentioned that even Vrindavan is an expansion of Balaram. All of the instruments, the bed of Vishnu is an expansion of Balaram because he is Seshanak. So he is very much, just imagine how important service is. That the Supreme Lord, one of his incarnations, one of his expansions, is just a symbol and personification of service in practice, not in theory. So we understand how service is so important that even the Lord is enthused to come and serve and to be able to make himself available for the execution of the pastimes of the Lord. So we're getting close to the time. Maybe there are some inputs, some comments on this issue. Yes. Okay.
Maharaj, you said that we have the pride. I have pride, and Balaram destroys that demon of pride. So, Maharaj, like my question is, like in normal circumstance, we many seniors are there. Then we don't develop the pride while interacting with them when we see whatever they are doing, whatever bhakti they are doing. But sometimes when we see someone is apparently behaving like a neophyte, apparently for me, and we think that I should correct this person. So that pride, that thing comes. So how do we remedy that, Maharaj? Like,
Govinda Swami Maharaj mentioned that except someone is a disciple, don't try to correct them. Yeah, but we are always taking a position of the guru. When people come, instead of serving them, we want them to serve us. When people come, they make some small mistakes. We cannot ignore. We call them, we call them and bring them to book. But we make so many mistakes. There's no problem in trying to find fault, but why don't we find fault in ourselves? If we don't find fault with ourselves, then we can quarrel with ourselves. No problem. But if we try to find fault with some other people, there is a way around that. Take for instance, if you see someone, if you genuinely care, and if you see someone, and this is just an approach to resolving issues, to an approach to helping people whom you perceive to be faulty, that instead of talking to them directly, we have ego. Every one of us has ego. Instead of talking to them directly, talk to somebody who is friendly with them, who can talk to them, and they will not be offended. That is how I think we should do it. And I've seen practical example in my own life. I had a friend. We took initiation at the same time. We were all, serving together. But he was very, very rugged. He was like, people, virtually everyone in the community was afraid of him. So they'll come to me to report about what he did this, he did that. So we were very close, and I'm the only close friend he has. Everybody else is like, fighting with him. And one of those things is that I learned to be adjustive. I can deal with the worst person on the planet. We can get along because I will accept the responsibility of getting the insults and all this stuff. So one day we went to the farm. So I said we should go on a japa walk. We were in the dead of the forest. So I sat him down and I told him all the things that devotees are complaining about him. And I was really harsh on him. We are peers, age group. We took second initiation together, everything. But you know what? You know what he said? He said, Vasudev, this is coming from you. I accept. I'm sure you don't mean any evil for me. So whatever you say, I accept. So there are people whom we cannot approach directly. We should tell the problem to their close nicks. And that solves a lot of problems. Yes. Any last point? I'm coming.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, we know that Duryodhan is favorite of Balaram. Duryodhan was favorite of Balaram.
What?
So, Duryodhan was the favorite of Balaram. What is the reason for that? Please
What
explain.
is the reason? I don't know. I'm sorry. See, in scholarship, I'm a scholar. I'm a mundane scholar. In scholarship, if you ask the professor a question which he doesn't know, he doesn't speculate. He'll tell you, I'll go and I'll make some research and get back to you. Why I say this? See, I write a lot. I'm published. And then when I had an encounter of one very, very highly learned devotee of ISKCON in America. So I asked him a question because I was trying to get some information about some things on neutrality, neutral relationship with Krishna. I was trying to get some information from him. And then I asked him a question. That time I was using Facebook. So I inboxed him on Facebook, asked him a question, and then he said he would get back to me. And then he didn't get back to me. Then after some time I reminded him. And then he said, oh, that question, that scenario is not really meant for us. It's for neophytes. I said, hey, I joined this movement because I want to understand things. If I ask you a question, you don't know, tell me you don't know. Don't play. I'm a grown-up person. Don't play on my intelligence. That's what I told him. So, essentially, I don't like to dance around with questions that, see, the Mahabharata is so huge. I've not read the whole of the Mahabharata even. So if you ask me a question about these characters, and I've not really had a chance of reading the whole of the Mahabharata, if I've not come across that, I would tell you that, I've not come across that. It's a simple thing that we help the person who is asking the question, and we help the audience, so that we don't go away with an impression that, oh, this is what he said the other day. But I found something else different in the Mahabharata. So, I can find out and then get back to you. All right? What's the time there? Bhagwan Mishra? It's 9 o'clock. Next time. Huh? Oh, really? I hope that they don't believe me. that I'm encroaching on their time.
And other times Prabhupada says that Krishna is the source of Lord Balaram. So are they the same, or are they?
Yeah, they are the same. They are the same. It's just the difference is color. I mean, it's like, okay, this is a very nice point. Krishna and Balaram, are they the same? Yes. It's a Prabhupada said sometimes they are the same. Yes, Prabhupada is correct. They are the same in the sense that when Krishna was involved in the rasa dance with the gopis, or even in Dwarka, he expanded himself into 16,108 forms. Are they the same or they are not? They are the same. He has the potency. The mystic have the potency of expanding into eight forms. Krishna has the potency of expanding into millions and billions of forms. So, Balaram, the only difference with Krishna is just the color. It's just the color. Yeah. Thank you. All right. The time is up. I know that in India there is, we don't care about time, but but this is not an Indian gathering. It's an international gathering, so we have to close the class. Srila Prabhupada ki